guys, this is NicMackin here, and I am here for Twerk It Thursday. At the beginning of the video, you saw the sketch that I'm using, as well as the 2 inspiration pieces for this week. And so I took my inspiration from the second photo, which had deer and owls in the blanket, and I didn't go with the color scheme. I just went with those 2 motifs. And so I am using this. It's an older line from Glitz. It's from 2013, and it is called Finley. And I had scrapbooked a little bit with this paper line and just still had quite a bit of it left. So I remembered that it had the deer, and when I opened it up, and I realized it had some really fun owl die cuts and stickers as well. So I thought that was perfect to go along with that inspiration. So here I am just figuring out kind of how I want to do this background. I find this scalloped punch. I believe in this sketch it was just circles, and I wanted to just change it up a little bit and have a little bit of design to the circle. So I chose this scallop punch. And so I just go through and punch a bunch of different patterns. The 6x6 pad's double-sided, so I kind of figure out if I want to use both sides and then punch accordingly. I do pause this at some point so you don't have to watch me do all this, but I get them all punched out and then laid out on the page. And as in the sketch, it is, I believe, 4 across. But I do want, I want them to be kind of coming off the top and off the bottom just to give it a little bit of a flow. And so I lay it out that way and then just start adhering them down. And so I just do that, and I'll pause it again here so you don't have to watch me do this. And looking back on this, that arrow paper I love, or the triangle paper, I'm sorry, that I use for the background, but it ends up being a little too busy, and I kind of wish I hadn't used it now. I do make some changes later on that do help it a lot. And it doesn't look nearly as crazy, I think, in person as it does on the video, but I still really love how this layout turns out. It was really fun. I am so bad about pulling out my punches, and so it's really nice to pull one out and use it and do a little bit of something different in the background. So that's a fun thing about sketches, and the fun thing about scraplifting is trying new things and using some of your tools that you maybe don't use on a regular basis. So now that I have these all adhered down, I am just figuring out this strip. And so in the sketch, they, I believe, used 3 photos, and I just have 2. I'm just going to trim them down a little bit, and then create this horizontal line with the photos. So of course I'm going to be covering up one line of circles, but I didn't really know where the photos were going to end up, so I didn't want to, I mean, I could have saved a little bit of paper, but so I'm just trying to figure out where I want them, how far down on the page. And as I usually do, I change up the sketch a little bit. Like I said, I use less photos. I also don't put my title where they have their title. But that, again, that's the fun thing, is you can start with the concept and then, make it your own. So here I'm flipping through what 12 by 12 papers I have from this line to figure out how I want to mat these photos. And I don't want them to be too crazy because obviously the background is extremely busy. But I also want it to be, because it's about the birth of my second daughter, I want it to be a little girly. Like, I like that it's not a typical baby girl page. It's not like light pinks. There is some pink in there. It's definitely like a bolder, like more bold colors, but I did want it to feel somewhat feminine just because it was about me going into labor and having her. And so this floral paper matched that feeling perfectly, I thought. So brought that femininity to the page. So here I'm just going to mat the photos with this paper, and then I'm going to back this section with the black just to give it a little bit of a more solid matting. And then ultimately I end up matting the entire layout in black as well, because it just felt like there was so much busyness, and that black really grounds it a little bit. And so I just basically trim some off the sides and some off the top. later on down the road here. So here I'm just getting these photos matted. It was fun to revisit this paper line. Like it was, I remember loving it, and I scrapbooked a couple pages with it when I think I was at a crop, and then put it away and just hadn't gotten back out again. And I forgot that it was really baby themed. So I actually, when I remembered that it had the deer and the owl motifs, I actually grabbed the line first and then realized it was baby themed, and then went and found some photos, some baby photos of my girls, and came across a story I wanted to tell. And honestly, that's how I work a lot. I really do. I sometimes I start with a photo that I really want to tell a story about, or I start with a story and find a photo, but often it is product based. And so this is just an example of that. How I went for the inspiration first, and then found the product, and then found the photos that would work with that. So I have so many photos and so many stories that I just take, I figure that each layout I make is going to at least tell one more, and that's how I approach it. So I decided I need one more color, and so I grabbed this ombre green paper, and I didn't want that dark green. I wanted more of that mint green to show. So I just do it so it's matting the top and the bottom. It's not matting on the sides. I don't know if I kind of felt like that maybe the black was just a little, like I just needed a little bit more color to that middle section there. So I really like how that looks. This paper line would be really cute for Christmas too. I think this would be a fun, unique Christmas paper color combination too. So I thought about doing that briefly, and then I remembered that I had these pictures I wanted to scrapbook. So I was going to use this for the title, and then it just didn't work. Like it probably would have worked here. It definitely wasn't going to work where the sketch had the title, which I think was on the right on the right side above the right photo. Sorry. I probably could have used it, but I ended up doing something else I like a lot better instead. I really liked this die cut, but I just wasn't feeling it. So here I'm going through the die cuts to see if there's any that will work. And there's some really cute embellishments and like project life cards in this. I can't wait to play with it some more. I forgot how cute it was. And another thing that I came across was the sticker sheets for this all had really big stickers, because I was thinking that I would layer some different stickers and words, and I had these, they're kind of like a glass enamel dot. I can't think of what they're called, that Glitz always has with their lines. So I thought I was going to be layering those up on some of the random circles. But then I got the sticker sheet out, and they're all huge. So I really only grabbed a couple hearts from the sticker sheet ultimately. And then there was an alpha sheet that had a whole set of like words. And so I ended up using those instead because they were smaller. So I didn't get to quite use as many of the stickers as I'd hoped. But it still works out. It works out fine. So I trimmed this section off of the Project Life card. And I just can't add any, I try and I just can't add any more stuff to this background. It's too much. So I had this owl that I had pulled out when I realized that this line fit the inspiration perfectly. And this is driving me crazy. I have to round these two corners here so that it's all the same. And I decided that instead of that, I'm going to go and do my title here in the middle, because I had some kind of blank space there that could be filled. And since this owl had that pattern, I thought that would work better there rather than on top of the other patterns. So, and this ruler kind of gives, again, a little bit of a solid base for the grouping of photos, or for the photos there. Kind of separates a little bit from the craziness of the background. And I like the ruler, and it was, again, very baby themed. So I adhere this down, and I kind of tuck that E in under just to make it feel like it's part of the cluster there. And then I adhere the owl down with pop dots just to give it a little bit of dimension. I think I pause it here for you so you don't have to watch me do this. There we go. So I just layer that. I tuck it in. And I love that. That owl is so cute. I love that. So now I'm trying to figure out now kind of where I want to embellish the circles. I know I don't want a ton, again, because it's already pretty busy. But I know I want to use these embellishments. They're so cute. And I want to get one that's multicolored here just to bring in all the colors that are around the photos, you know, to this cluster. So it kind of brings all those colors in together. And I popped out that up because it's resting on the owl and the owl's popped out it up so that way it didn't warp. And of course I have to use this little deer, although I typically would never use a deer unless it was like a Christmas layout or a deer layout, which I do make deer layouts because we live in the country and we have deer around us all the time. And so anyway, so that was definitely something different for me. Then I decided that I actually want to see if I can do some other layers first and then have those be the finishing touches. And I forgot that I had this washi, which is the same design as like the triangles. And I decided end up kind of using that washi to ground where I put embellishments within the circles. So I have to work with it a little bit. So here's where I'm looking at the sticker sheet and saying, oh my goodness, none of these will fit on these little circles except for these hearts. So just one of those things. And I love the stickers. Like they're really cute. I was hoping that, you know, a lot of sticker sheets you have like a whole bunch of small little fun elements to use. And of course I would pick the line that doesn't have that. So I do end up grouping those two hearts together and kind of making one embellishment out of the two being stuck together. So yeah, here's where I'm looking and trying to figure out what to do. So I end up, like I said, grouping those two hearts together and then just using these, I don't know what they're called. I can't, they're like adhesive glass jewels kind of thing, like glass flare a little bit. And I'm just putting the washi down and kind of grounding wherever I put these embellishments. And, sorry about that, guys. And I put that jewel down there so I have a little bit of embellishment down along the bottom there. But I use a smaller one just because there's less room down there. I didn't need quite as heavy of an embellishment as that deer one is. So here I decided I'm going to just put some words that fit the theme of the layout and some of the circles, and then that will just be how I embellish some of them. And some of them kind of come off the circle a little bit, and I like how that looks. So this is a great play on a grid. A lot of times when you say grid, people think squares, and this is just an example on how you can do a grid with circle elements as well. And that's essentially what this is. And it was just a lot of fun to do something a little bit different. And you could layer up, like I thought about that. I thought about seeing if I had a bigger scallop punch and actually layering. So each scallop is a layer of two different ones, and that would add some really fun dimension to the page as well. I thought, and I think if I would have done that, that might have made it, I don't know, look a little less busy, but tiny there. So just adding some stickers with some words that I want on this page, and trying to, again, keep in mind the colors and where the, you know, making sure that everything is weighted pretty evenly color-wise. And I did that initially when I put the circles down too. But then when you cover some of them and then you kind of lose some of that, you want to kind of reassess as you go along. So here's where I decide, like, it just feels like it's too busy and I need something solid to kind of let the eye, just to ground the layout a little bit. And so this is, I trim off the top and then a little bit from each side, which I actually like better anyway, because then the mats on the left and right of the photos aren't quite as big, if that makes any sense. So I actually like that a lot better. And that just kind of gives it a nice, I don't know, like a nice base for the page. I'm going to take that off to trim, so I'll put that back on. And then I think up to the point I journal on the owl. I splatter first, which I always do this backwards. I always splatter and then remember I have to journal yet. So I wait for it to dry a little bit, then I journal on the owl. And then I think that's pretty much it. So while I'm finishing up here, I just want to say thank you for watching, and still loving being a part of the Crafty Maven YouTube group. It's been lots of fun, and I hope you guys are subscribed, and there's a bunch of links below to kind of find us and figure out what we're about. And I'll be back next month again. Until then, happy scrapping, and take care, everyone. Thanks.